Okay, kids, it's time for another episode of the Fueled by Weird podcast, the only podcast that stays crunchy, even in milk. I'm Chris Daly, and today I'd like to welcome back to the show Scott Wilke. Scott, how's it going, man?
What's up, man? It's good to see you again.
Yeah, you too,
Been a
man.
while.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. It's been like, I think I was looking the last time we talked, it's been like a year. So
that's
way
crazy.
too
It doesn't feel that
little.
long, but
I know, right? And I think we were
right.
talking about the same book last time.
We were. You can't
Very
get away
cool.
from me, man.
That's all right, man. We've got to make it more often. We got to get
Right?
periwinkle and all that stuff up in here.
Oh yeah. I got a busy schedule next year, so we'll be chatting.
Sweet. Heck yeah, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So since you've been on the show before, you know how this works. I usually like to start these things off with an icebreaker question. So
Okay.
the question of the morning this morning, if you had to live in a video game, which one would you live in?
Ooh,
That's a tough one.
I know. Uh, Probably like I don't want to be Link, but like I'll live in like Hyrule maybe during peaceful times. So I'd
Okay.
say Zelda.
Okay.
Um, it's just so pretty, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
But
That's
definitely not
like
times when Ganon's like hanging out. I'll maybe the peaceful times. But yeah,
so yeah, Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time.
yeah,
Yeah, but
I love
in,
just hanging,
in
playing
between
around in the
there,
villages. Yeah, exactly.
in between there, right on.
Yeah, totally.
Oh man, I thought I was gonna think about this one better, but I don't know what I would do. So I guess you make a good point. Maybe go peaceful, like something like Stardew Valley, maybe, or maybe just be
Oh, I
kind
didn't
of
even think something like that. Yeah,
crazy and maybe do like a Fortnite or something like that.
I was thinking Fortnite, but
That'd be kind of wild.
looping your life constantly. It's like I don't know, like same day over and over again, Groundhog Day.
That would
That might be tough.
that would be tough. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna maybe stick with Stardew Valley, just something
That's a good choice.
kind of mellow, kind of
Yeah.
mild, nothing too crazy. I'm getting too old for crazy, man.
I
So
was about to say I'm getting too old for like,
like
yeah, I don't want
I'm gonna drop into God of War or Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. Like, nah,
in my younger 20 days, baby. Yeah.
yeah, like
Not now.
I'll
I got
throw
bad
hands
knees.
I'll throw hands at the best of them, man. It's all good.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm getting too old for that shit, dude. I can't do that.
I
No,
know. I'm
I'm
getting
good.
too old to play the video games, much less live
Right?
in them. Right?
Dude, like I tell you, like I'm having like the hardest time, like the older I get, like the more it's like I can't just sit down with the video game anymore. It's hard. Like I want to,
Me
but
too.
like you sit down and then like 10 minutes in, you nod off and go to sleep. So it's like
Yeah. I
are
have
you
so many on my like to play list. I feel bad and I
it's
basically just play Fortnite. That's really all I have like the bandwidth for these days.
it's rough, man. Like my trouble is I'll get on and I'll have so many to pick from that I just like I'm like I get
It's
overwhelmed and I'm like I don't know what to play, so I'm just guess I'm not gonna play anything.
like Netflix. Yeah. I'm just like by the
Dude.
time I'm done perusing, I'm like I don't even want to watch anything anymore.
Yeah. Fortnite's one I've always kind of wanted to get into.
Oh, Fortnite.
I played once with some people and it was so much fun. And
Hmm.
now I'm not friends with those people anymore. And so now, and they mostly, when we were friends, they kind of pivoted to PlayStation 5. So I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'm a man on an island by myself. So whatever.
What do
It's
you
fine.
got?
Xbox.
Oh, okay. You
Yeah.
can still play. I mean, because like my daughter, she has an Xbox, so we team up on Fortnite.
Oh, nice.
She's way better than me, which is that's a hard thing to it's a hard thing to stomach as a Halo boy. Like I'm like,
Dude,
man,
those
I've gotten
kids, man,
rusty.
those kids, this generation is like a whole new breed of kids, man.
Oh yeah, and she's playing. And she wants me to play this Brawl Stars with her now.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah, and she's begging me every day. I'm like, I can't get another game going. I just don't. I have to work. I have to
It,
write. You know.
it's hard, man.
Yeah.
Ah, simple pleasures, simple pleasures.
Right. More. We need more hours in the day, man.
Dude, for real. And I still think if there were more hours in the day, it still wouldn't be enough.
No, you
You could
have
add
to
like
like
another,
triple it.
yeah, you could add like another 12 hours and it's still not enough.
We'd fill it with something.
Yep. Find something to fill it with. My
Exactly.
biggest problem is I sit down and play a video game and I'm just like, I could be doing like 15 other things, but I'm wasting
Yeah.
time playing a video game. So I kind of just,
My adult tasks.
yeah, dude, I kind of just talk myself out of it, which is awful to do. But my wife, thankfully, is trying to help me fix that habit. And she's like, no, you're going to sit down, and you're going to play a video game. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. There you go.
So actually, that makes me change my answer. There's a Adventure Time video game that I've been playing a lot recently. that's where I think I'd want to live.
Okay.
Because Adventure Time is a game that, or is it's a show that I kind of never got
Oh,
into
based off the show
originally.
guy. Okay, yeah, I was
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
I knew that. Okay,
It's
gotcha.
very it's a storyline that's kind of based on the show, but not really. But it's a show that I never really got into originally, but then I was like, all right,
Hmm.
finally give it a try. And it's a pretty awesome show. It's super
Is
dumb.
it?
It's super dumb.
I
But
should
if you,
check it out because that's my cup of tea then.
yeah, because I always when like I'm gonna give it one episode and one episode in, I'm like, all right, this is dumb. But then I'm like, I should give it more than one episode because it's not fair just to judge it on one. So I gave it
Yeah,
like two or
fair.
three, and I'm like, okay, this show's kind of dumb, but it's actually some episodes are kind of dumb, but some are really, really good. And there's even been a few that kind of make you tear up a little bit. And
Oh
because
yeah.
the
Okay.
way the story, like you'll see a story element in one episode, and then maybe like a season later or 10 episodes later, they'll kind of revisit that,
Hmm.
kind of make it all tie together. And it's like, okay,
That I love that.
that's pretty awesome. So yeah,
Dude, I need to check. I love the art style on that because I always am
yeah,
drawn to that. I see that like the art and t-shirts and stuff. So
yeah.
I should check that out.
It's a weird, like I said, it's a super weird show, but it's pretty good. There's moments in there that are it's
Is it on any? Is it? What's it on Netflix? Where is it at?
I think it's on Hulu.
Okay.
A lot of it, Max has all of it. I think that's where I'm watching it right now because I just
Okay.
recently converted my Hulu package, so I have Hulu, Disney Plus, and Max for like I think it's like $30 a month or something
Yeah.
like that.
Isn't it wild? We're back to packages.
Dude, it's like you
We
get
got away
on.
from like cable and crap, and
Yeah,
now
it's
it's right
so
back to where
dumb.
we started.
It's like, oh, I'm gonna get these
Obnoxious.
streaming services to get rid of cable because I don't want to just sit and just watch whatever anymore. And now it's like I'm doing the same thing, but I'm paying
Same damn
almost
thing.
as much.
It's gonna come out to be more at the end of this.
And now
That was their long play, man.
they got commercials now, and so it's like, oh, the
Yeah.
only reason I got rid of cable was for no commercials, and now we got commercials now. So it's
Yeah,
like,
and Prime, like Amazon Prime's commercial, it's like pay more. I'm like, I'm already paying
yeah,
you a shit ton on Prime, man.
dude, for real,
I can't.
so dumb.
Obnoxious.
All right, so last time we talked,
Yeah.
I was thinking like you reminded me of somebody. And I think I mentioned this after our chat, but so I'm a big pro wrestling fan. Anyone that knows me knows it's no secret that I love
Yeah.
pro wrestling. And I was like, dude, you look like this wrestler Mike Bennett. Has anyone ever told you that before?
I think you're the only one. But
I'm the only
yeah,
one that's told you
I'll
that.
take it. I'll take it.
Did I show you a picture? Have you seen him before?
Let me, yeah, let me still get a picture. Michael
Yeah,
Bennett.
if you look up
I
Mike
think I looked
Bennett,
at it when you told me.
it's crazy how much you guys look alike.
Oh, damn, I'll take that. Yeah. I
It's
wish I was as swole as him, but yeah, we'll ride with that.
it's pretty similar. It's kind of crazy.
Beard, bald headed. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm down.
I
I
mean,
respect that.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely not an insult for sure. But yeah, I
No,
just
no, no, yeah.
watching wrestling, I'm like, that guy looks like Scott. That's crazy.
Is he in what's he in? Is he WWE or
He was for a minute, but he's mostly been other promotions right now. He's in AEW.
oh, okay. Dude, I used to be so into it and it's been like a few years. I've fallen out of the wrestling. And normally it's easy to catch up. It's like because it's it's like soap operas. You tune
Yeah,
in 10 years later, things are pretty much but I feel like I'm so behind now.
it's always a good time to jump in, especially now
Yeah,
that
I think I'm gonna start.
AEW is going to be streaming on Max here starting January 1st. So if you have
Is
Max,
it? Okay.
that's a good way to jump in on AEW. It's a
I
good
just need to get back into it because my brother-in-law was big into it, and so like when he lived closer, Monday night he'd be over, we'd have dinner, watch it. But since then, yeah, kind of fallen out of it. But yeah, I definitely want to get back into it because I think my daughter would enjoy it too. She's
yeah,
big into all that stuff.
there's lots of good stuff going on. I know part of WWE is going to be on Netflix pretty soon.
Mm,
So yeah, there's lots of places to watch it. And like I said, I've been a huge wrestling fan for years. So you need help
that's
getting on a
awesome.
jumping on point, or you need some background filler. I got you.
Heck yeah, dude. You give me the TLDR on it all. Yeah.
Yep, I got you. And yeah, I
Yeah.
think there's one other guy that I haven't talked to that I'm friends with in comics, Bob Sally.
Oh, Bob. Yeah, I know
He
Bob.
looks a lot like a wrestler too, who's in WWE LA Knight. I
Mm,
know people have made the comparison between the two of them. So if you look up LA Knight, he looks uncannily like Bob. It's crazy. And Knight is Knight.
okay. Oh my God, he does. Yeah,
right?
that's funny, dude.
So yeah, you and Bob have very striking wrestling
We could
resemblances.
cosplay
It's
at a
it's
con.
pretty rad.
Hell yeah.
Um,
That's
so yeah, I had to get that part out of the way just because I know we've kind of talked about it a little bit, but yeah,
I appreciate that.
it's just crazy. Um, so since we last talked, also I saw you guys made a trip to Disney. How did that go?
Oh, my wife's made me into a Disney adult, I think. So
Oh yeah,
it's
okay.
it's un it's un not unfortunate, but those trips are quite expensive.
Oh, I'm sure.
But yeah, it was a blast. It's really cool because I think we waited it to the right time for our daughter because she's 10 now. Um, and I think had we done it earlier when we like originally wanted to, I think a
Yeah.
lot of it would have gone kind of unappreciated.
Oh
And
yeah.
then, then and she was a trooper. She walked like the whole like we were walking
Oh
like
man.
20,000 steps a day and she never needed to be carried.
Nice.
And yeah, so it was really cool. It was a nice little trip.
That's awesome. I mean, being a Disney adult, there's way worse kind of adult you could be. So,
That's what I say. I mean, it's not a like, I'm not a big sports guy, but like,
yeah,
those guys get super obnoxious about their stuff too. And so
yeah.
I think any type of fandom to an extent is
Oh yeah,
dangerous. We
big
know
time.
Star Wars toxic fans and all that.
Those
So
ones are terrible.
yeah.
But I mean, to be fair, like you said, I totally agree with you. Any fandom at a certain level can get kind of awful. I know even pro wrestling, there are some pro
Yeah.
wrestling fans out there that are super, super awful. So it's
Yeah. I used to be a big Ryback fan back in the day. I got so much flack and like people would get like
really,
upset about it. Yeah. I'm like he's just such a ham and like a
yeah,
goofball.
yeah,
And I like the big meathead guys. I thought they were funny. So,
yeah,
but yeah, I ran into somebody at an event and they're like, I think it was during his like big heel push and all that.
yeah.
But yeah, you got to be careful who you like around those parts.
Dude, it's true. And like I don't think I've ever met anyone that was a Ryback fan ever.
That's
But
everybody says that.
I'm not gonna slam you for it though.
Yeah.
Everyone's got someone they like, and it is what it is.
It was just bad, but then when they did like and then with what's his name when he was his manager, like I kind of fell out of it. But I just liked him when he was like he didn't talk. He just came out
Yeah.
feeding time,
Yeah,
bashed
because
some people.
if you look at him on social media now when he talks,
Oh, yeah, I stumbled upon him the other day on like TikTok, I think, doing a battle. I was like, "Oh,
he's
you fallen on
he
hard times, my
he
friend."
really should just not talk ever.
He
He
should
should just
not. No, he was
yeah.
not good on the mic. He's no Rock.
No, not at all.
No.
Also last time we talked, we were getting ready for Deadpool 3, which we now know is Deadpool and Wolverine, and we had a lot of thoughts about it. Now that it's been out and we've seen it, what are your thoughts?
I'm conflicted because
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
Hmm.
I just felt like it went a little too hard on the jokes. Like I think it was
Okay.
most powerful when it was like really Wolverine focused. Like those were those moments where like, Wolverine would snap at Deadpool in the minivan and stuff like that. Like those were like moments I think it shined more so than it was just kind of like the constant joke per
Yeah.
minute thing. I mean, we were doing like what was he averaging? Like 30 jokes a minute almost. It was
It
like
was
it's
it was a lot.
it's too much.
Yeah,
Too
yeah.
many F-bombs, too much. And I like gratuitous violence, if you've read any of my books. I mean, I
Yeah.
I love over the top violence. I think
Yeah.
they could have dialed all of it down by like 25%, and I think I would have probably enjoyed it more. But again, I thoroughly enjoyed all the cameos. And it was a good movie. I'm not gonna like say it was a bad one, but I
Yeah,
think it could have been perfect had they just dialed some stuff down.
that's fair.
How about
I
you?
I really liked it a lot. I I I didn't think about some of the stuff that you said, and that makes a lot of sense. Um, One thing I liked was, because I had mentioned I like crossover stuff.
Yeah.
So I really liked, Jennifer Garner and Blade showing up, and even
Yeah.
I always thought Channing Tatum as Gambit sounded completely awful and ridiculous, but he kind of killed it. He kind
He
of and
did.
he looked
Yeah,
incredible too.
he did. He looked good.
Because I thought that one guy from that played Gambit for a minute in that other X-Men movie.
Yeah.
I
Taylor
thought,
Kitsch or something.
yeah, 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 I thought he looked really good. And I thought his accent was pretty on point. So I was like, all right, that guy, he sold me his Gambit. But, you know, Channing Tatum comes in as like a almost comic accurate Gambit.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah,
Yeah.
he freaking killed it, man. And so yeah, the cameos were cool. What kind of bugged me was how some of the other tertiary characters from the other X-Men and other, Fox Marvel properties, they brought those characters in, but they recast them with other actors. So
Yeah.
like the Russian from The Punisher that was Kevin Nash, they had
Yep.
him in it, but they recast him. And I was like, how much does know that's who that is? Because, unless
The shirt.
you
Yeah.
tell me, yeah, the shirt's not enough of a
Yeah.
giveaway for me.
I
Like
know.
I when I watched it, I never put that together until after, like, oh, this is who that was. I'm like, oh, okay. But like some of the other things, like the red guy who looks like Nightcrawler, and I hate that I can't remember his name,
No, I
but
can't either. Yeah, no,
he
I know what
he
you're
was
talking
in
about.
X-Men First Class. Like, okay, I
Yep.
get that, and some of the other ones were like super obvious, but some of the weird ones like that where they just recast them,
Mephisto.
it's
No,
like,
it's not Mephisto. Sorry. I'm
oh, you're
trying to
good,
remember who that was. Yeah.
you're good.
But yeah, I agree with that. And then Juggernaut too.
Yeah. Like
I was bummed.
you can't just recast them and then like, oh, that's who that is. Like I can't just make that assumption. Like you have to like give if you can't bring back the original actor, just
Don't
pick,
do it.
pick somebody else. Like I
Yep.
get where you're trying to go at. We got all these rejected characters from the Fox universe that are all dumped into this one area and they're just kind of forgotten about. And yeah. But for them, like you said, for the most part, it was still a pretty decent movie. I
It
really
was.
liked it.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Azrael.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm sorry. I kept throwing
No,
like
you're
I could
good.
see red guys in my head, and I kept like throwing one of them was gonna be.
You're all
But
good,
yeah,
dude.
yeah, I think again, good movie. I enjoyed
Yeah,
it. I laughed. I just it's shown best when it was a little more serious in
yeah,
tone. So
I agree. All right, so and again, since we last talked, you've been busy putting out a whole ton of books, Dead End Moon, Xenogeist, Bobby Joe, Periwinkle, all that stuff. How's all that going? You still keeping up a pretty busy schedule?
yeah, pretty. Because what did we do? We just wrapped on Xenogeist 2 Kickstarter in November, so we're cooking on that one. Dead End Moon just wrapped number 4, right? Yeah. I've gotten to the point where I'm like even I'm struggling with what number we're on. That one wrapped I think in late November, mid or early December. We're about to do Serial Killer. Um, Next year we'll finish out Hypergeist probably early January or late January. So that'll complete the Hypergeist arc. And then shortly after that we'll probably get into Bobby Joe 5. So that'll be her closing arc as well. So it's
Nice.
kind of bittersweet getting to this point on a lot of these books, wrapping up, and then there's like that like extra pressure because it's like, you've and a lot of these books have taken kind of like years to complete. So there's all that culmination of time and effort and work, and you just want to make sure you stick the landings. You want to make sure
Sure.
that you satisfy your readers that have been with you since, issue one. Um, but yeah, it's been fun and finished Cupid early this year, and then I'm about to have Frost done. So I'll probably launch that on Kickstarter in February. So the Periwinkle universe is starting to, you know, get bigger and bigger with every issue, and yeah, just a lot going on. And then there's the stuff I do outside of Bad Bug.
Yeah.
I write for Lee at About Time Comics, Red Scare, and then I write for Mark Compton, um, with Marcus Publishing. I do the Perils of Passion book for him, and that one's on Kickstarter right now as well. So
You're cool. So are a lot of those, are they just going to wrap up for good, or like is this just the first arc that's wrapping up and then you're planning on continuing some of these?
a first arc because we got Bobby Joe. We're gonna kind of pivot where what she handles, so to speak. I don't want to give too much away, but her
Gotcha.
next arc's going to be,
A little different.
of a certain variety of monster.
Okay.
And then yeah, Hypergeist. I've put it in a spot where it's like we could take it further if we want to. It's really dependent upon the readers, the feedback, and if people want more, we'll definitely give them more. And maybe we pivot to like one shots. I've always told Mike the power of those. Um, Low investment, high yield and ROI on those, in my opinion.
Sure.
But
Yeah, yeah. A couple more books I wanted to talk about what their future is and a book we talked about last time, Welcome to Monster World,
yep.
and another book that we talked about, Everett Forge. What do we have with those?
Everett Forge, yeah. I feel bad because that was my first book, right?
And I
First,
remember you
first,
talking about it, and when you told me about what it was about, I was like, I need to read this book. Like, we need this book to come back.
I know. And I've read it recently because I'm like trying to figure out because the studio that was doing it, Click Art Studios, um, they're not really in the field anymore. So I'd have to pivot to a new art team. My OCD really doesn't like that. So
I get it.
I struggle with it. And then I
Yeah.
kind of, I'm looking at it, I'm like, I would tighten up this, and I'm like, this I was maybe dragging that part on too long. So there are a lot of things like I'm looking at it now with like fresh eyes, almost coming on like 10 years after. So,
Oh,
I
wow.
had the inception of the idea for issue one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe, if I do go back to that world, I think what I'll probably do is just kind of reboot it and almost kind of Mike's done that with like Ragnarok, kind of did like a soft reboot on that. So I
Yeah.
think I might do something similar to that. But I got so many other things going on right now. I gotta like
That's
focus
fair.
first on that. But
Yeah.
as far as Monster World, we art's done on two. We just gotta letter it, and then we'll probably be hitting Kickstarter on that one early next year as well. So
Nice.
yeah, I really like that one. And
Yeah, me
'cause
too.
last time we were on, we had the double feature
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
where we had Monster World and Serial Killer. It
Hmm.
didn't really pan out the way we wanted to because I think we ended up just kind of diluting the whole thing we wanted to do. We thought maybe we'd get extra backers, but instead I think we just diluted our backer pool in a sense. So we've split them into two separate campaigns now.
Gotcha.
Because you could really tell there's really distinct fans for each. There's people who were kind of okay with Monster World, but they absolutely loved Serial Killer. There were people who absolutely loved Monster World, and vice versa or whatever.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I really love that one. I think it's probably one of my favorites. It's an all age book
Yeah, mine
too, so
too.
that's kind of fun. I can actually let my daughter read it, and
Yeah.
she can share it with her friends and take it to school for show and tell. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah, I really like both of those. So when that double feature was like perfect for me. And because
Oh, good.
they're both very good books. Um, they're both very different books, but yeah, they're
Yeah.
both incredible. So I'm very excited that we got more coming.
Awesome.
It's very
Appreciate
cool.
that.
Also, you've started an interview show, Bugging Out. How's that going?
I did. I know I've got inspired by you guys. I thought it was
Yeah,
fun. Yeah, I love
nice.
being on the receiving end. So I'm like, I'm gonna turn the tables a bit and be
Nice.
the one asking the questions. So it's
Okay.
not video or anything like that. It's all I made it as easy as I could with my schedule. So what I do is I just, I come up with a list of questions on a Google Doc, and then
Yeah.
all these creators and artists are super busy. So I'm like, hey, answer these at your leisure. And then I'll just post it to the Substack. And it's been really cool to, because I know of Garrett Gunn, I know of, Pat Shand and all them, but like I never really have gotten a chance to like talk to them in depth or
Yeah.
pick their brains on things. So it's really cool to like meet these guys and via this avenue and
Yeah.
learn about them and learn about their processes. I really try to steer more towards that because I really like the creative side of things. I'm like, what motivates you, or what does your writing sessions look like, or
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So it's been fun.
That's cool. Yeah. I've done a few of those interviews before, and it's a little bit different, but it's cool because you can still kind of get what you're wanting to get without actually having to talk to people, which
Yeah,
sometimes can be a little bit scary.
for sure.
Garrett though, I've talked to him before. He's such a cool guy.
He's a cool guy. Yeah.
He was on the very first episode of this show.
Oh,
And
nice.
we talked about when Good Boy came out with we came out with those big vinyl statues.
Oh yeah.
Um, Then yeah, he was a really cool guy. He actually is the one that got me into these hats.
Oh yeah.
Trying
Mammoth.
to
Yeah.
there we go, Mammoth headwear. It's hats for dudes with big heads.
That's
And I
that's
was
me.
like, I always have the problem with that because regular hats, even if like the snapbacks, even if you have it on the last snap, it's still not big enough for my head.
I
But
know.
this one is like four. You can't really tell, but it's like four snaps, three snaps,
That's
and
awesome.
it's still plenty roomy for my large dome. So
That's me, man. Yeah, I have to like always max out because I like the fitted, so I'm always at like
yeah,
the
yeah.
very end of the like
Oh,
what is it,
dude.
seven three
Yeah,
quarters or close to eight. I'm like, all right,
yeah.
this is
I have a couple of those that I had to max out, and it still kind of wasn't right where it needed to
right.
be. But yeah, this
Yeah,
one, these guys, I think they only have the snapbacks. I think. But man, it's so nice to be able to have a cap that like fits comfortably, that's not like jumping
yeah.
out your head. Is yeah, big
Oh,
head,
that's the worst. Then you get a
big
headache.
head
Yeah,
problems. Yeah, you
yeah,
have to like you don't have to sit and try to steam it and stretch it out. It just fits.
yeah.
It's
Just have
awesome.
it sit on the top of your head.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks to Garrett for the word up on Mammoth Headwear. It's
That's
awesome.
awesome, and I
Yeah,
love the
yeah.
logo on that too.
Dude, it's so dope, huh?
Isn't that cool?
It's
I love
so
that.
rad. It's
Nice.
super rad. All right, man. So we kind of mentioned it a little bit already. You got Serial Killer #2 coming out pretty soon. For those that haven't seen the previous one time that we talked, you should get on that and get back and watch it right now because it was awesome chat. But for
Yeah.
those that haven't, let's talk a little bit about what Serial Killer is about.
Yeah, it's in a world where cereal mascots are actual humans and they're kind of the worst of the worst. They're the Kim Kardashians, the P. Diddy's of the world. But you know, everybody loves them. They love the cereals. The world kind of revolves around that. And suddenly, someone starts offing these characters one by one. Um, so enter our detective, Detective B. Runch. He, I still, yeah, I, I still giggle about it when I
Great.
think of that name. But yeah, Brendan B. Brendan. He doesn't like breakfast foods. We haven't gotten into why yet, why he's got such a vendetta against them. But that detective is thrown into this, and he's the one that's got to figure out who is the one that's the serial killer. Um, so issue one, you know, kind of opens that scene. Issue two, we start to get more into like the underbelly of the serial world, like the ins and outs, the inner workings of the industry. You know, kind of the nastiness behind like contracts and stuff like that, and the cesspool that's underneath all of it, and yeah, so it's going to get more and more intense, more and more violent, more and more serial characters are going to get offed in really gross and gratuitous violent ways. So we're having a ton of fun with it.
Yeah, speaking of that, again, thank you for letting me read issue 2 a little bit early. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that. And speaking of gratuitous, yeah, you start right off with one particular character getting off in a very interesting and totally makes sense way. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
I know I'm having so much fun because, like, yeah, a lot of the deaths are, overall the whole book is maybe a little pun heavy, and like
Yeah,
anyone who reads this, just know that if you think it's pun heavy, I reduced every issue by 40 puns at least in post because I was like, okay, maybe I'm going too hard. Pun every panel is too many probably, but I get a kick out of it. I get the kick out of like, David Caruso, CSI, where he's like,
yeah,
pulls the sunglasses off. He's, I guess he likes his chicken deep fried. Like just the stuff. It's just I find that stuff hilarious. So I'm like, I really wanted to lean in on that. I mean, we're already writing about low-hanging fruit puns with
yeah,
serial killer, so I'm like, I'm just gonna kind of, double down on it.
for sure, dude. And I know John Westhoff, he does that a lot with his book Bulletproof Chicken. He
Oh
has it
yeah,
packed full of chicken puns, and it's
I
fantastic.
love it. Yeah, I think it's like anyone who like, come on, just have fun. Like, what are
It's
we
so
doing here?
good,
Yeah.
especially because Kit is an incredible artist, and I
Oh
bet
yeah.
Kit probably had a ton of fun putting all the puns in there.
Oh yeah. And Kid's so good. Like, what's funny too about Kid is like I don't think he's really into cereal, and I don't think he was really um not the same way like Mike and I were, because like Mike and I are geeking out about cereals and like what our
Yeah,
favorites were, and then because we're '90s kids, so it's
yeah.
like that was the highlight, right? Like
Oh, dude,
the
for sure.
toys inside, the
Yep.
the characters and everything. And Kit was like not really cared or was detached from that world. So, but like he's nailing like every cover art he's doing. He's nailing every character he designs. I don't dude's a genius, and
He's so good.
I love working with him. I just wish I could hire him full time and just have him only draw for me. I
He's
have so many
so
things I
good.
could have him draw.
He's so good, and I'm sure he's so busy, especially with that the High on Life series he's been doing
Oh, I know.
based
He's
on the
dude.
game. Oh my God. And
He's a
that
workhorse.
game is incredible too.
Yeah.
Never played it. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I don't know how he has enough, speaking of hours in the day, I don't know how he does it
Dude,
because
seriously.
and he's somehow finished Serial Killer with all that. And yeah, he's a dude. He's crazy, dude.
And one thing we need to mention is in the world of serial killers, not only is the world dominated by serial mascots are actual like living, breathing people or living, breathing
Yeah.
creatures, which is kind of awesome. So, like
Yeah.
think of all your favorite serial mascots now, and they're all real. And that's something I think is kind of funny, especially when you've got B Runch's partner is the Quaker oatmeal mascot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good.
I love it. Yeah, we were trying to figure out how we wanted to kind of what we wanted to do, if we wanted them just to be, the guys underneath, costumes or what. But I think
Yeah.
it's just so much better having, like Frankenwaffel's anatomically a waffle breakfast monster. Like his
Yeah.
internal organs are linked sausages. He bleeds syrup.
Yep.
The Bing Bang Boom twin triplets. They bleed blue. They're all just there's the vampire. Like we haven't really gotten into him yet. He's like kind of our version of Count Chocula. He's a legitimate vampire.
I'm
Like
so
it's
excited for
just
that.
yeah, it's so fun. And um, I just think it just adds to that element and it gives it that kind of Roger Rabbit vibe that we were going for,
Yeah,
um, where you're just putting the two worlds together and seeing how they mix and mingle.
that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know about the Count Chocula guy. I love Count Chocula, so I'm
Yeah.
very excited for that one to show
Yeah,
up.
we teased him a bit in one. He doesn't show up well, but he'll be back for sure. All of them, I mean, and that's the other cool thing is Kit's kind of drawn some of the characters from issue two already, like in the cover of issue one. So
Okay,
we've been already teasing a lot of these characters. So it's
nice.
gonna. I mean, I wish I could just keep going with it because there's so much to pull from that pool of
Oh,
serial
for sure.
characters. So
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, now that I think about it, I almost thought, the Count Chocula type character was the one that B Runch found in issue two. And then for that final reveal for that new character, I was like, okay, I like
yep,
this.
right. I know.
That
Yeah,
totally
that's it.
threw
We're opening
threw
up
me
a
off.
whole new. Yeah, issue three is gonna be wild because it's gonna be like a whole new section and underbelly of the serial world. So I'm really looking forward to it.
That's awesome. This is such a cool world. And I'm so glad that someone's doing it because I was actually just having this chat with my friend the other day about how people don't take enough chances on weird books or weird stories. And it's
Exactly.
like, they want to try to do what everyone's wanting, superheroes and, dramatic and horror and stuff
Yep.
like
Yep.
that. But it's like, sure, there are the groups of people who love that kind of stuff. But there's also the group
Yeah.
of people that are like, where's this weird story? I want to have this weird one. Like,
Thank you.
I
Right.
don't know if you know Chad Perkins, but his
Mhm.
book right now, his book is about a guy who's trying to get revenge on a fish for killing his father.
I love that. I haven't heard of that, but I love that.
It's completely ridiculous. And he has one that's this kid orders a furry costume off the internet, and the furry costume is like one of those where you put it on and like it takes over your body and it controls you and makes you do
Oh, no
horrible,
way.
terrible things. So
All right.
it's these weird stories that aren't getting enough of a chance that, I'm glad people are taking a chance on because yes, there's room for superheroes, there's room for horror stuff, there's even room for the books, the I guess what's affectionately referred to as, the boob books.
Yeah.
Um, but there's also room for the weird stuff, and there needs to be more weird stuff. And if you can get some funny in with your weird, then let's do it. So serial killer fits. It scratches an itch in my brain, and I'm sure a lot of other itches that people have
Good.
that you didn't even know you. This is a book that I didn't know that I wanted, but I'm so glad that I have it because
I love
it's
that,
so
dude.
fantastic.
That's exactly what, because, and I always say, because I'm the same way. I'm so bored with with DC and Marvel. I mean, I have been for years. I honestly
Yeah.
haven't read a DC Marvel book in quite a bit.
Oh, same.
So I'm always looking for like these indie publishers that are doing these really
Yep.
weird things. When I'm at cons, I'm looking
Yep.
and asking. And the best compliment I got at my last convention was, they were looking at my books, and I think they grabbed Serial Killer, and I told them. And then I told them like what Cupid was about, and I told them, what Periwinkle was about, and they're like, "Oh my God, these books are so weird." I'm like, "That's exactly what I want." They ended up buying
Yep.
like my whole catalog of books
That's
because I'm
awesome.
like, I know, and I want Bad Bug in a way to be like the repository for that because it's like, where do you
Yeah.
go to search that? Because there's, to your point, I want books I didn't know I wanted to read,
Yep.
like that fish book. I want to read that now, like stuff
It's
like that. But
really
like, how do
good.
you search that up? How do you even know where to go to find a super weird book like that? And I
Yeah.
want Bad Bug to be like that place where it's like, oh, they got a bunch of weird books over there that are amazing and fun. And
Yeah.
um, so yeah, that's the best compliment I could get. And I don't take weird as an insult. I think
Yeah.
it's, I mean, I'd rather be weird than, oh, another Superman adjacent hero that can fly and shoot lasers and stuff. Cool. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
I'd rather hear about the fish, the guy seeking revenge on a fish?
Right. Like back in the 90s, being called weird was a super big insult. But
Oh
now
yeah.
like I had a guy a couple years ago at work try to insult me by calling me a nerd. And I'm like, really? We're grown-ups. Like you're gonna call me a
This is
nerd? Like you're gonna
1995.
like
What's
you're
going
gonna hurt
on?
my feelings?
Yeah.
And it was funny, this other guy, because I don't do it as much anymore, but I used to be in IT. Well, I'm in IT still, but I used to do like hardware repair, like our computers and stuff like that. And so
Oh, okay.
people would bring their computers to me, and I had a line out the door. And this one guy steps in, he's like, "You're here for his help, and you're gonna call him a nerd? Like, grow up!"
Yeah.
Like,
Right?
so dumb. But yeah, being weird is kind of the new cool thing now, and it's
So
it's
cool.
it's good that sometimes people are actually starting to embrace that instead of, have it be different because, like I said, being a kid of the 90s, I'm sure you already know this. And also as a fellow guy who's not really big into sports other than pro wrestling,
Mm.
um, that's weird for people. Like, you don't like
Oh
football
yeah.
or you don't like like, no, not really. I mean,
Yeah.
my dad was a big baseball fan, so I'd kind of go to baseball games with him, but I didn't really care for it. And so
Same.
being weird was just something that was just you didn't really want people to know you were weird because you'd get made fun of. But
$1,000%.
now you get called weird, and now it's like everything that was cool when we were kids is cool now, and so now we're kind of the cool kids, kinda, and it's
It's come around. Yeah.
that's what's weird. The weird thing is the weird kids are the cool kids now, and that's kind of what's like everyone's like, like superhero movies will come out, and my wife will be like, "Who's this?" or "Do you know who this guy is?" Or my daughter will do the same thing, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, sit back and let me tell you a story about this."
Yeah,
'Cause,
exactly.
we're the ones that people want to come to now.
1,000%. And I think, I find myself really drawn, particularly these days, to things that deconstruct all that stuff,
Yeah.
like Umbrella Academy or
Yep.
the Boys. Like those are the types of books that I find myself, or movies that and TV shows that I find myself most drawn to.
Yeah.
And yeah, to your point, it was really hard as a kid because it's like I had to pretend basically when I was young to like sports. So like, I
Yep.
pretended I was a Packers fan. I lived in Wisconsin. And I actually, to a degree, I revolted a bit, and I was a Dallas Cowboys fan because I'm like, if I'm gonna have to do this, I'm gonna be at least a little bit of an ass about it. So like, yeah, but at school we'd be looking at, our football cards and trading and stuff. We'd be talking about sports statistics, and I'd get home and I'd go nerd out. I'd read
Yep.
Superman comics and stuff like that. So I'm almost jealous and a little bitter. Like that
Yeah.
I couldn't have grown up in this era because like my daughter, yeah,
Right.
she loves anime. She loves, Demon Slayer. She just nerds out on all the stuff that she loves, and I'm like, it's so awesome. She's not scared to tell her friends because I mean, her friends are
So
into it
cool.
too. Most of the
Yeah.
schools are into like anime now, and
Yeah.
it's cool, and I like it, and it's hard not to be a little bitter about it
Oh,
because we've had to
100%.
hide in the shadows, of
Dude, let me tell you, like so I never lived in Wisconsin, but my dad's family all lives in Wisconsin, and
mm,
my dad was from there. And so growing up, they'd always send us like Packer stuff for Christmas and for birthdays and holidays and whatever. And so
yeah,
I never really watched football, but if I was going to watch football like you, I was a Packers fan
Yeah,
just because my family was from Wisconsin. They were cheeseheads, whatever.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, I was the same way. It's funny because my wife didn't even know I was a nerd until we had already been married for a few years because
No way.
I was just at the point, like you, where I was hiding it, where I was like, I'm sick of getting made fun of. I'm sick of not, finding a girlfriend. So I'm just going to kind of hide the weird away. And so, people will like me. And,
Yeah.
that's really not the kind of like you want because
No.
it's artificial. It's not genuine.
1,000%. Yeah.
Luckily for me, when my wife found out I was a nerd, she was totally okay with it. And she's actually way better about it now because
That's
she
awesome.
just like, you should have just told me you were a nerd from the jump. And I'm like, well, I was kind of sick of just being by myself and, not having people
Yeah.
like me. And I didn't want people to make fun of me anymore because
Yeah.
I already gave people enough reasons to make fun of me. I just didn't need that one more reason for people to
One
make
more.
fun of me.
Yeah.
So,
And trying to find a girlfriend too. I mean, that I was in that same boat. I
dude,
think I got out of college though, and I was like, F it. I'm like, this is it. So I was like, I met
yep,
my wife on Match, funny
nice,
enough. And so I on my profile, I was like, I'm a nerd. Like, deal with it. I got action figures. I got thousands of DVDs and Blu-rays. I play
nice,
video games. I love Superman. And she was like a big sports girl, so it was really funny. Like, she's talking basketball, and I'm talking nerd stuff on our first date. But now she's a total nerd. She's huge into Star
nice.
Wars, more so than me at times. She
Oh,
knows more
wow,
lore than because she watches all like the animated Star Wars stuff, and so yeah, I've gotten into her head, and now she's one of us. So
nice.
it's the best.
That's cool that you got your daughter and your wife into nerd stuff. My wife kind of is a little bit like,
Mhm.
um, so I've gotten my wife and both my daughters into My Hero Academia. That's about as
Nice.
far as anime my daughters will go. My youngest daughter likes to draw and she'll draw anime style characters, but she doesn't really
Oh,
watch
cool.
anime. She won't watch anime other than My Hero.
Yeah.
And my oldest thinks anime is weird except for My Hero, but that's the only one she'll try.
That's
My wife,
something.
yeah, right? That was kind of my foot in the door to anime because for years I'm like, anime's dumb. Like, I'm never gonna watch anime. But then I slowly kind of started creeping my foot in, and I started with My Hero, and the similarities for me between My Hero and something like the '90s X-Men animated series,
Yeah.
they're not exactly, but there's a lot of parallels.
There's parallels for sure.
And so I that kind of draw me in, and then I've slowly started to get to other animes, and my wife and I, like, I'll tell my wife, I've been wanting to try this anime. She's like, oh, let's try that one, and we'll watch it, and she gets hooked. So I've slowly hooked her in anime by
Nice.
anime, like Attack on Titan. She was a huge fan of that one. Um, Solo Leveling we watched, and she really liked that one. Demon Slayer, she's a big fan of that one. Um,
Yeah.
Jujutsu Kaisen, that was a pretty big one too. So I'm like,
Nice.
she always thought anime was dumb too. And I'm like, there's the thing I've learned about anime in my short time in the fandom is if you don't like anime, you didn't find the right one
The
because
right one.
you think
Yeah.
about it, there's tons of different animes for everybody. And
Oh
like
yeah.
there's a lot of horror animes, there's funny animes, there's even ridiculous kids one like this one where this guy died and is reincarnated as a vending machine. And
It's
it's
so ridiculous.
it's
I love it.
super
Yeah.
weird, but it's kind of a fun show, like kind of an all ages show, which you don't get
Yeah.
in anime because there's a lot of really grown up anime.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I tell everyone is if you don't like anime, you just didn't find the right one.
I find that that's
Yeah.
so true because there is a bit of like a perceived maybe more so than anything barrier to entry with like anime
Oh
because
yeah.
it's not your conventional Western storytelling
Yep.
tropes and so forth that you're used to. So I
Yeah.
think once you cross that barrier and you're like, oh, so this is how stories are told, or this is how things, because it is kind of night and day. You
Yeah.
you just kind of reorient a bit, and then you start to appreciate it.
For
And I know
sure.
a lot of people who have gone anime and never come back. Like, like that's all they want to consume now.
Yeah.
And they think like, Western stories are boring or contrived or,
Yeah.
repetitive and so forth. So, yeah,
Yeah, I actually realized it's been a minute since I've watched any anime. So the other morning I was catching up on some One Piece. Now I'm super, super far behind on One Piece, but it's nice that I could just
One
kind of pick
Piece
up
is a
and
good
go.
one. One Piece
It's
grabs a lot of people. I think
it's
that's I
good.
think a lot of people have fallen into that one, like fallen into anime via One Piece.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of scared to get into it because, there's so many episodes, you'll be watching forever.
Yeah,
I really wanted to watch the live action, so I wanted to watch enough of the anime that I'd be caught up and not have anything spoiled in the anime by watching the live action. So I watched a bunch of the anime, then I watched the live action, and so that's kind of how I went. So now I've been kind of going still through more through the anime to kind of get ready for the next season of the live action. But
nice.
yeah, I'm gonna be watching that one for a minute, but that one's pretty good, and I'm a big fan of pirates, so that one's been
Yeah,
I like that one a lot.
nice.
All right, so kind of to circle back from our tangent,
Yeah, no, yeah. Hey
um,
man, I'm all for it.
serial killer coming out soon. Looks like the Kickstarter is going to be dropping this Tuesday, which is when we're going to drop the episode. So it'll launch today. Um, let's talk a little bit about, what do you have going on with the Kickstarter that you can talk about, maybe some of the stretch goals, some of the different bundle things that you can get with the Kickstarter.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up on my screen here just so I can
Okay.
kind of see because I think one of the things and I really want it to hit because I've been pushing for this with Bad Bug for like a year, and I've gotten into heated debates, um, even just so recently as a month, like
Okay.
Pogs. I'm trying. I want to
Okay.
bring back Pogs.
Okay.
So we found this really cool website that does them, and it's in the U.S. and um, they do it all. They'll do slammers for you.
Interesting.
They'll even do like the tubes and stuff. So
Nice.
I've been pushing for like to Mike. I'm like, we gotta get Pogs. Like, let's just start some. Like, we'll have like limited series of them,
Yeah.
and then people can collect them, trade them. We could be a cool thing to like trade at conventions if we have people
Dude, seriously.
basically like Disney pins, right?
Yeah.
So I finally got it to like, I think I got him on it. And so I really want this to hit well with Serial Killer because that's going to be our first title that we're going to offer Bad Bug Pogs. So each Pog's going to have one of the serial characters
I was
on
just
it.
gonna say, I hope that's what you're gonna say.
Heck yeah. So if anyone's watching, if you don't even buy the book, just buy the Pogs. So I could prove my point. But regardless whether or not, I'm gonna do it for my other books. I already have some planned for Frost when I launch.
That'll be a
And
good
then
one.
I got Mike to okay me doing, a Bad Bug series. So like we'll
Okay.
do like series one and it'll have like all of our OG characters like from Black Jackets, Mike's first book, or his first book with Bad Bug, Midnight
Yeah.
Highway, Periwinkle, all like the for Pocus, those types of books that like kind of really kicked off the whole brand. And then
Yeah.
I'm like, if we're interested, we might do some for like the Midnight series because this printer will actually do like NSFW
Oh,
prints. So
nice.
if people want pogs like that, but yeah, that's my pitch for the pogs. I don't care about the
That's
book, just do the
that's
pogs, guys.
awesome.
But I'm really excited about that. But he's got a cool box that you can get. It's limited, so if you're gonna jump on it, I would jump on it soon. It'll have all of the books, all the variant covers. So the one with like the Bing Bang Boom triplets on it, the Frank and Waffle cover, the Leon the Lion cover, and then all the new variants for issue two. That'll all be in the box. I don't know if you guys probably have not heard of like the bug stackers. They're these like little plastic
Oh yeah, I saw
things that
those.
that stack and like you'll be able to get like new characters and you just stack them tall. They're really cool. So he'll
That's
have those
cool.
in the box.
Nice.
I think there's something else in the box too. Oh, and we have Trixie. She's our new kind of like a sexy character. She'll have her own cover too and a NSFW variety of it.
Yeah.
That's our first time adding in like an NSFW-ish type to our safer work projects, just to kind of test the water on it.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to get all of those books in this box, and I think it's a super solid deal. I told Mike I'm even tempted to buy it myself. So that'll probably be our that's kind of our main big ticket item on there. But yeah, you'll be able to get all the books. Again, all the variants are still available from issue one, issue two variants. Um, yeah, I think that's most of everything on there.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's awesome, man. I'm so stoked. I was a big Pogs kid.
thank
So
you. Okay,
that
good. I
yeah,
was
yeah,
hoping
yeah.
you were, yeah.
Dude, yeah, you growing up in the 90s, you could almost not get into that kind of stuff. Like all the weird
Right?
all the weird stuff that was in the 90s. I don't think I have any more of the ones that I had.
I don't either, and I hate
But
that. I'm so
yeah,
sad.
yeah, me too. I couldn't even begin to tell you where because when I moved out, I brought a lot of my stuff with me, but I left a lot of it at home. And so when I finally was able to, because I didn't have a lot of space, because my first apartment was a studio apartment that I shared with
Oh,
my girlfriend at the time, my now wife. And
mhm.
so, with her stuff and my stuff, I kind of just had to bring, the essential
The
stuff.
Bears, the other bare minimum.
When we finally got a place big enough, I kind of went back to start getting some more of my stuff, but it was mostly my dad had told me that a lot of my stuff got water damaged, so we had to throw it away, but I never saw any evidence of
Oh no,
any kind of issues with
water.
anything at the house. And I really think it's because my dad either kept it for himself or he sold it. Because
Uh,
he tried to gaslight me a couple times as a kid. When I was a kid, I don't even remember where I got it from, but I had one of those giant Rancors from Star Wars.
yeah.
And I was like, I used it for everything. Like my Ninja Turtles would battle it, and like everything would just fight
Hell
this guy.
yeah.
And all of a sudden, one day it was gone. And I was like, I'm a pretty responsible kid, and I didn't really take it out of the house. I'm like, it has to be in the house somewhere. But then all of a sudden, my dad had one. And I was like,
That's saucy.
have you seen mine, Dad? Because I don't know where mine went. He's like, I don't know. He's like, where'd you get yours? He's like, oh, I got it from blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, then
Mm,
whatever, Dad. And then I ended up finding out later, like, yeah, he took it because he wanted it. And I was like, you could have
it's got
just
your
told me.
name written on the foot.
Yeah, I
Like,
was like, dude,
what do you,
like, why do you gotta
what
lie
if he
about it,
does?
man? Just tell me.
Yeah.
And then he ended up selling it later, and I'm like, oh man,
Oh, damn.
sucks. So yeah,
Damn. Yeah. If we were to think about all the things, like, I think about like my Game Boy. I think I
yeah,
sold that when I was younger at like a garage sale just to make like what, $2 back then. And I'm like so mad at myself
that
now as like an
sucks.
almost 40-year-old. I'm like, you
Yeah,
son of a bitch. Why'd
yeah,
you sell that?
yeah. I
And all
think
those toys. It's like, oh,
most of the toys are gone. I think comics, I think, are the only thing I was able to keep from then. I mean, I have a few other
oh
random
good.
here and there.
Yeah.
When my dad passed away, he kept a lot of that stuff. So I'm like, I'm just gonna take this back. I'm gonna take this back. So I think I have some of it, but not nearly like I had some. I was a big fan of the Mighty Ducks cartoon,
Oh
the
yeah.
one they did
Hell yeah,
based on the
dude.
team. And I
Yeah.
had some of the figures from that, and they were so dope. I know that wasn't a very popular show, but
I love that show.
oh, dude, when we first got Disney Plus, that's the first thing I watched out of
Was it?
everything, everything.
Dude.
Like every Ninja Turtle knockoff cartoon, you could just sign me up because that was like I ate that shit for
Oh
breakfast.
yeah. Same.
And I don't have those anymore, and trying to go back and find them again is like super expensive. I'm like, man, I just wish I still had that. You know
I
what I
know.
mean?
Isn't it painful?
It hurts a little bit because
Like, what were we doing?
I just turned 40. So looking back, I'm like, oh man, like I wish I still had that.
I know. I think about
Oh
that with
man.
so many things, so many toys that like that one toy, I can't remember what is it, the something, but like you put a tape in his he was a robot and you put tapes in and like it'd be like interactive stories and
Oh,
stuff.
Teddy Ruxpin.
This was a robot one, but it's the same
Oh,
vein
okay.
essentially.
Okay.
Yeah. He was like a RX or XR or something like
Okay.
that. Some it was by Tiger Toys too. And
Okay.
but yeah, I love that thing. I used to bring that into the playground and like I'd have all the kids like all my friends like huddled around me. We'd be like doing the choose your own adventure stuff. Like you
That's
just don't
awesome.
have that anymore. Like these
Dude, for
kids now,
real.
everything's on their phone and I'm like, you don't know. You just
Dude,
don't know
for
what
real.
it's like.
Like my 9-year-old will just sit and play on her phone and play Minecraft all the time. I'm like, how do
Yep.
you know how to do that? Like,
Roblox and yeah.
yeah, dude. And like my oldest gets mad because she calls my youngest daughter an iPad kid, which technically that's kind of what this generation of kids is iPad kids. And I'm like,
Yeah,
leave her alone. You're just mad that you didn't have that same opportunity when you were growing up because
no
your
joke.
generation of kids was like right before that. Because like my oldest was born in 2007, and so from that range, there really wasn't that still. It was kind of just like, sit the
No.
kid in front of the TV or whatever, and they still kind
Yeah,
of played with toys. But my oldest just drew all the time. Unfortunately, she doesn't draw as much anymore. I wish she did because
no.
she was a
Same.
great artist. But I'm like, you're just mad that you didn't get the chance to just sit on your phone all day. And, my 9-year-old, there's things that she can do that my 17-year-old at that age never was doing. And it's it's just, going back to, the differences between the ages. It's just weird how what kids are doing nowadays. But
Oh,
they
it's
always make
entirely.
they always make fun of us, like, why do you spend your money on dumb shit like toys and stuff like that? It's like because we have adult money and we're buying stuff that we never had as kids, or we're trying to buy back the
Or
stuff
buy
we had as
back, yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
You know?
Like leave us alone. Nostalgia is all we have left. Like
Right?
don't take it from us.
Right.
That's how I feel. Like a lot of, and I'm like so going in hard on that with like a lot of my titles. Like it's just like pulling from my youth. It's like how can
Yeah,
I
man.
take that and then but adultify it a bit? Like that's
Yeah.
kind of like my Periwinkle universe. It's like I love those mythological creatures, Santa and
Yeah.
Cupid and Jack Frost. I'm like, now how do I bring them into my age group? So,
Yeah.
all right, let's make them super violent. Like,
Let's
and I'm
do it.
having a blast with it, man, because it's like I've gotten to experience these characters and have fun with them twice in my life in different ways, you know?
Yeah.
So I love nostalgia, and that's why the Pogs were like a big push for me. I'm trying to talk the guys into the viewfinders, like
Oh, dude, that's
because they do
sick.
custom viewfinders. So I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
they're a little pricier. So I'm like,
Sure.
the price point to make any type of profit at all, or even break even, would be a little bit on the higher end. But I honestly would love that if a comic book Kickstarter sent me that, and it's just like shots from the book on the viewfinder. That's cherry to me.
Yeah,
But
dude, for real. Like, just let us be happy. Let us bring back stuff from our childhood that,
yeah, please, like
yeah.
the world's falling apart. Like let's just
Yeah, like I think I posted about I just found a Casey Jones action figure from the Ninja Turtles in like the original like 80s, 90s like ship packaging for like
no way.
$10 at Target because they're re-releasing all these because like
Oh, they're the
the
re-releases. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes,
Those are
so it's
cool.
for the 40th anniversary of the Turtles. So it's like it looks exactly because that was one of the action figures that I lost was my Casey Jones, and I was like super bummed about it. But I was like, did I just find the exact action figure I had as a kid for like $10? Like
Isn't that cool?
I can't not get this. Like the backing card is like the exact same card from when we were kids, and it's the exact same, like everything about it's the exact same.
So cool, man.
I'm like, how do I not get that?
I wonder if kids like are gonna have that with their stuff in like 30 years, you know? Like I don't know what my daughter likes a lot. Like she's big into like Five Nights at Freddy's. Like
Oh,
she collects all the plushies and stuff.
dude,
So I
that
wonder
is
if that's gonna
taking
be
over my
her
house.
her TMNT, you know?
It
Like,
might be.
yeah.
Yeah, FNAF has taken over my house.
Isn't
My
that crazy?
youngest daughter is all about it. Like she's to the point now where she's trying to teach myself and my wife, my oldest daughter, like, can I teach you how to draw these? And I'm like, okay, sure.
Okay, I'd
Yeah,
love
like
to.
just everything FNAF. Like my wife and her share a Spotify account, and most of my wife's Spotify Wrapped. A lot of it was FNAF stuff, and just
Yep.
YouTube and books. And she asked Santa Claus for Christmas a bunch of FNAF stuff. Like it doesn't really matter specifics, just it just has to be FNAF related.
FNAF, yeah.
Yeah.
We've gotten to the point now, I don't think she has anything, like, there's nothing she doesn't have, like, plush wise, because she's big into plushies.
Mine too.
I'm like, I think you got them all, kid. And, like, I don't even try. We got a Funko warehouse over by us.
Oh, that's I would get in so much trouble.
Yeah, and they have, like, a store now inside. So it's like,
Oh
crap.
man.
Every time, she wants to go to GameStop all the time. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah,
They got
I
lots of
don't,
good FNAF stuff there too.
oh, yeah. Seems to
Yeah.
be, like, the main place to find it. It's where we
Yeah.
find, like, the really good stuff that she gets really excited
Yeah,
about.
the I've noticed that a lot of the weird, uncommon, rare stuff, not even necessarily rare, but just GameStop has stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else in regards to FNAF. But yeah,
1,000%.
I almost don't want to go in there with my daughter ever because I'm going to probably come out with something.
Shop. Yeah, you're gonna drop $30 at least
Yep.
every visit. So
Yep. All right, folks. Well, make sure you stay tuned because December 17th is the launch of Serial Killers #2. You're going to want to get on this, get those pogs because 90s kids need to
yes,
rally. We need to make this a
me
thing
too.
because these, just the idea of having pogs with all of these serial mascots from Serial Killer, I'm super stoked. I'm going to be there day one. So
Hell
I'm
yeah.
so stoked. There's so many 90s kids out there that want to get their childhood back, just a little piece of it. This is how you do it. So, after this Kickstarter comes out, I guess really I usually like to talk about what's next, but what's next is serial killer. So I guess after serial killer, what do you have lined up next after that?
Yeah, my big one, and it's my own project. It's Jack Frost, or just it's Frost. It's the continuation of my Periwinkle saga. So if anyone has heard of that, it's where Santa's been murdered by Krampus, and an elf seeks revenge, and that has kind of blossomed into this giant universe I'm creating, with the mythological universe. So I just did Cupid, so you should check that book out too if you haven't already. That one launched earlier this year, and Frost will be the continuation of that world. And he's like a John Wick type character. He's an assassin he works for his old man Winter, who's a mob boss,
I see.
and so he's battling another female mob boss, mob queen, I guess would be the best term, in New York. So lots of cool stuff there. And I got another book that's going to follow that follows along Easter Bunny in a sort of way. So the world's going to keep going. But yeah, I definitely hope that people can tune in for Frost, and probably February we'll be launching that book. So
Very cool. That's actually a series I haven't gotten into yet, but I want to. So that's
heck
what
yeah,
I'm
dude.
planning on next year is to try to get into your Periwinkle universe, especially since Easter Bunny kind of holds a special place for me because I once upon a time played the Easter Bunny at my local mall.
Did you?
That was like
That's
my first
awesome.
official grown-up job was my girlfriend at the time. She's like, "Hey, she was working at the mall as like the assistant to the Easter Bunny. So she's like, "Hey, we need someone to like be in the suit. Would you do that?" And I'm like, "That sounds fun." They
Oh
was,
yeah, dude.
and really, it was actually kind of a fun time, except for apparently I couldn't see anything. The lady I shared a costume with was super sweaty and super smelly, and I always had to go in after her. So that
Oh,
kind of sucked. You couldn't
that's
really see
rough.
anything. Um, and a baby, I guess, tried to nurse me once. So that was weird.
There you go, buddy.
Um,
That's when you
so
made it.
yeah, that was weird. And actually, I just knocked off Santa Claus off my list yesterday because a friend of mine was hosting an event and she's like, "We need someone to dress up like Santa Claus. Would you come?" And I'm like, "Sure, that sounds awesome." I mean, I didn't
Got
use
the beard, man. Oh, you didn't use
I didn't
yours?
use mine just because I
Oh,
didn't have enough
could have
time to
painted it a bit.
make
Oh,
it
okay.
white. So she had a beard for me, which was weird to put over
A
top of my
beard
beard.
over that beard? That
Yeah,
seems, yeah,
it
that's like
was
a crime.
it was weird, but it was a lot of fun. So yeah, so that's two characters that I've knocked off the list. So I
Oh, yeah.
definitely need to get into this world because it sounds awesome. And again, it's kind of one of those weird books that you don't know that you need until you have it. And now it's like I didn't know I needed this book. So
Yeah,
it's very
exactly.
exciting.
So yeah, we'll definitely have to hop on another call when I launch, and
Oh, for sure.
I'll have you read them.
For sure. Now, before I let you go, I've asked you kind of before advice you want to give creatives. Let's switch it up a little bit.
Okay.
What's advice you'd give someone that's running a Kickstarter?
Oh, have a lot of alcohol ready for the. I think just talk to others that have done them and get and take any and all advice. You're gonna think you have it down and you're not. There's gonna be something. Have a lot of people review it before you go live. Send them the preview link because you're gonna find someone's gonna find something. Either a misspelling, which is a little easier to fix, but there might be an issue with one of the tiers. You might have over overpromised or over whatever, undercalculated. So yeah, just it takes a village, honestly, I think, to run a really solid Kickstarter. So talk to as many people as you can about it.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
And also, where can we stay up to date with stuff coming from you? Where can we find stuff coming?
Yeah, I'm on except for I'm on Blue Sky now, but I used to be on Twitter. I don't do that anymore, or X, whatever it's called. I'm on TikTok, Awkward Skull at TikTok, um, Instagram, Scott Wilke 24, Facebook. I'm a boomer, so I post a lot on there. Um, yeah, that's about it. That's where you can pretty much keep up with me. We're on the Substack, so if you're not, I do the bugging out piece, like you said, on the Substack, so you can check out my interviews there. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Scott Wilke 24. The others 23 Scott Wilkes couldn't just give it to you.
Right? I was like, how many? Apparently, there are a lot of Scott Wilke and a lot of like art. Scott Wilke's too. I was like, what the hell?
So dumb,
I know. I wish I would have got the art gene. Then I wouldn't have to pay
right?
artists.
Dude, for real. Like I just write, I can't draw. I've tried and it's
I can't.
luckily I think that trait has got passed off to my kids from somewhere. So that's cool if they
That's
just
awesome.
draw. If I can just write and they'll draw and that'll kind of work out for me, maybe.
That's my plan. Yeah, my daughter's a really good artist too. So I'm like,
Nice.
get there so I can just pay you to do my books.
Nice. I'll pay you in FNAF. You can just draw my stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Nice.
awesome.
Well, I'll make sure we put the link for Serial Killer 2 in the show notes. We'll put it on social media so everyone will know where to go to find it. And that way we'll make sure we get as many people, as many eyes on it as we can. And before I go, I want to make sure we thank Polygon Horizon for the use of their song Pizza Force. It's a great song. It's the song we use on the show. And you can check them out on Bandcamp. Let's get them, show them some love because they're a great band. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook just at Fueled by Weird. You can actually now find me on TikTok at Fueled by Weird, where I share a lot of the shorts from the interviews. Um, Doing pretty good over there, and it's kind of a untapped market, really, I guess, until the
Oh
ban goes
yeah.
into effect and see wherever the hell that takes everything.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe it's not even worth the effort anymore. But for now, you can find me at Fueled by Weird on TikTok too, if you're into TikTok. Um, you can find the show on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And now you can also find us on the Spotlight Media GA app, along with the rest of the Stay Weird Network shows, the Nerdy Man Room show with Hassel and Monster, Hassel's Review, and Big Rob's House of Entertainment and No Chinese Food. Now, the Stay Weird Network is a brand new podcast network dedicated to bringing some awesome back to the internet. Check us out on Instagram and YouTube at Stay Weird Network, and you can shoot us an email at feelbyweird, or excuse me, at stayweirdnetwork@gmail.com. You also can find me at feelbyweird@gmail.com if you want to shoot me an email. I also want to thank the Zone Collectibles in Tifton, Georgia. They're your one-stop shop for comics, collectibles, and so much more. We really appreciate them sponsoring this show. If you like the show, please leave a review, like, subscribe, and tell your friends because word of mouth is my friend. And remember, kids, life's too short to be normal, so stay weird. Scott, thanks so much for hanging out with me today.
No, thank you, man. This was fun.
Absolutely.